In my view, I have only one obligation, and that is to the taxpayers of West Vancouver. In consideration of the B-line service extending beyond Park Royal, without an restricted bus lane, why didn't TransLink propose that in the first place? I want to comment. You can go online through Google to our West Vancouver Blue Bus. It states it's a great way to get around where you're going. Whether you travel to the ferry, Lions Bay, downtown Vancouver, Cap University, or to UBC. It lists all the buses and where they go. It gives time schedules. And do you know that the Blue Bus began in 1912, is the oldest continuous operating municipal system in North America? Think about that. Now, the buses are part of the TransLink network, but continue to be owned and operated by the District of North Vancouver under a contract to link TransLink. There are 12 routes and 64 fleet. But here's one that really grabbed me. To the president of Local 111 of Coast Mountain Drivers said, and I quote, "It makes no sense for West Vancouver to have its own bus service. Well, the rest of the lower mainland uses another operator. It's sort of a mess. All of us should be integrated. Having West Vancouver with their own little entity out there doesn't work with integration of TransLink." Well, I say to all of you that a facility that we've had going the longest in North America that has provided quality service to this point in time suddenly should be discarded out because we want to foster a new TransLink position. I think not. And so my interpretation of the motion, so that we would try and get a win-win here, I feel a little bit sketchy on the fact that we introduce the B-line back. It says, well, we're not going to put it by schools. We won't go through neighborhoods, and we certainly will have a minimum of loss of parking. Well, that's something that has to be looked at. What is minimum? 10, 12? So it's double-edged sword here, and I'm wanting to be part of a win-win here, and I've looked at all this. The traffic improvements are important for the future, but folks, when you look at this, I know what you're thinking. Well, if they introduce the B-line, they'll come back in again, and it says here, excluding restricted access bus lanes. So I'm assuming through all this, with both this motion and Peter Lambert's motion, Councillor Lambert's motion, that in fact the transit line will be terminated at Park Royal. And from there, we make adjustments along the way through staff's recommendations, Madam Mayor, and hopefully we can come to a better situation in the future and get a win-win. But keep in mind, folks, the nerve to want to say this blue bus system we had all these years should just float away. I find that just incredible.
Blue bus. But let's just focus here on facts rather than emotive arguments that don't have any basis in that.
Okay. Councillor Soprovich.
But why don't you go on the site and read what it says about the blue bus system in West Vancouver? There's lots of opportunity to get some fact. Regardless if there's been a contract or whether in fact there's been a shift by the union, I know that TransLink said, well, we got a works yard in North Vancouver, but it's going to be too small for the blue articulating bus. So probably the suggestion in the future, we won't buy more land to increase our buses on Lloyd Avenue. We'll take them over to Burnaby so they could start out at 5:30 in the morning to go to their positions. It is all organized to take away the direct result of a quality service that we've had for years. And that is my opinion. You read this stuff yourself if you want to do it. So my question is on the options for a beeline service extending beyond Park Royal. It states that it's excluding restricted bus lanes. So Councillor Cameron is in fact any service that, for an articulating bus coming into West Vancouver in the future will not be given a closed lane. And secondly, where in all of this would there be a turnaround position? Is that something that staff will work on in the years to come? But there's not, right now there's nothing available, so how would we look at a bus system, a beeline system coming back in when there's nothing available to turn around?
Councillor Soprovich, the motion says what it says. You can read it the same as all of us. It's quite clear. I actually am very concerned about what you're saying about TransLink and the aspersions that you're drawing. You're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. And I would like Ms. Lemus, don't believe me, I would like Ms. Lemus to clarify this notion, this quite frankly, insulting notion that somehow TransLink is not letting us expand the depot or anything like that. We have an interest in the depot in North Vancouver, do we not, Ms. Lemus?
Through you, Mayor Booth, to council. No, we do not. So this is
Okay.
Madam Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, I've been in business in West Vancouver for 50-odd years or less, both in Park Royal and Ambleside, and back to Park Royal, back to Ambleside, back to Park Royal, and back to Ambleside. So I get a good history of the business community here and have drawn some strong conclusions that every day that I drive through Ambleside, it is a beehive of activity. And that is because of the hard-pressing, dedicated business people that grind it out every day here to make ends meet for themselves and provide service to the community of West Vancouver. We are a unique seaside community. We have a passion that is different than everywhere else in the Lower Mainland. I don't think we should be bullied in any way, shape, or form by TransLink or anybody else to alter our position of what we want that is the best for West Vancouver. Having said that, to the young people from Capilano, you know, I have a 19-year-old son, and I'm 80. He's smart as a whip, and so are all of you. I'll be long gone, and you're going to be here working in this community and moving on. So I understand your position, and I accept it all for the future, and you should stand up for your rights and speak your piece all the time. Don't ever forget that. Madam Mayor, the position that I have always felt, and I stated this when Mayor Smith was mayor, that I always try and keep an open mind, but at a clip that came out recently, back in 2018, I said, not only to the public at that time, but also to the owners of Park Royal, that the most obvious location for a terminus is at Park Royal. I never varied from that. I had to listen to and thank everybody in the Lower Mainland. One I got a kick out was somebody from Kamloops. You know, I appreciate what goes on in Kamloops, but and I try not to make fun because everybody's entitled to their input, ladies and gentlemen, and as well as this council to their input. I don't ever want to stop that. But I have, I guess, a vested interest in this community. When I leave here, I want it to be that special place that you all think it is, and we know it is. Thank you very much. Councillor Gambioli, I've always tried to keep an open mind, and when Councillor Lambert put that motion to me, and we talked it out, and I really took a serious look at it, and I thought it was a very good proposal. So let's look at a scenario. This is rather maybe a little silly to you all, but so any municipality, they said, we're putting in a pipe, and we're filling it full of water, and it's going to go uphill. The water's going to run uphill. Oh, but keep an open mind. How much input would I have to have in relationship to know that that water is never going to run uphill? My head would explode before I got enough information about how to make a decision. So when it came to Councillor Lambert's position, and we at the same time extended the outreach, incidentally, we were not to receive anything as of last Monday the 4th in relationship to anybody in the public concern, yet I've received I don't know how many emails for and against since that time, so we're still receiving public input on this. So, you know, I understand we're now suddenly very righteous, and my only hope is that everybody's listening, and TransLink and the staff will all listen to the fact that we want to see a terminus at Parkwell, work very, very hard to improve the bus system in West Vancouver, and the door is open a little bit to a lot of options. And, you know, Councillor Cameron, we may not have full control over our blue bus system, but I'll tell you something. When it first started and TransLink came here, and George Poole was standing over there 20-odd years ago, and he says, we're going to tax your assessment for future costs. And starting a bus system, every lower mainland municipality pointed to West Vancouver says, we want a system just like West Vancouver. That's true fact. So I'm asking that we don't forget the blue bus system, find ways and means to add more if we do, and I would suggest, Ms. Lemus, that if we look for more blue buses, that we'd have to do it on our own through the taxpayers of West Vancouver, if TransLink wouldn't help. And why wouldn't TransLink help us? After all that's gone through, they're going to have a viable system to a major shopping center. And I hope from there that they can be encouraged to send a couple of beelines over to Vancouver and to UBC and to other places that we don't get now. Our own blue bus system goes over there.